like to call the meeting of January 10th, 2022. If we could start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
Pledge
to the
allegiance
flag
to the flag
of the United States of America,
America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to call the roll. Newly elected trustee William Parrish,
Present, thank you.
trustee Ann Welker,
Here.
trustee Ed J. Warner Jr.,
Present.
trustee William Pell IV,
Present.
and Scott M. Horowitz. Obviously, I am present. I'd like to let the public know this is our organizational meeting. So it's be a little bit different than our standard meeting, but we will be resuming our work session Monday, January 24th at 9:30 a.m. and our regular meeting on Monday, January 24th, 2022 at 1 p.m. I see Special Counsel Lombardo on the screen. Hello there, Joseph. Happy New Year. At this point in time, I would like to enter into the process of the nominations for board officers. Has anybody got anything that they want to speak on this at this point in time? Just so the public knows that among the Board of Trustees, there are a couple of positions. One is the President of the Board of Trustees, and the second is the Secretary Treasurer for various administrative functions, keeping the board on track and running meetings and other duties and responsibilities. Is there anybody that has anything that they want to say relative to
I got in
that?
trouble one time for that in a different job.
Yeah.
I know that. I
hear-
Lisa, maybe
Here's some-
mute yourself.
I hear some talking in the background.
Thanks, Lisa. I think it was Lisa. Thanks, Lisa.
Scott, you gonna open the nominations?
Yeah, I'll open the nominations
Okay.
for president at this point in time.
I'd like to nominate Scott Horowitz as president of the trustees for this upcoming year. In the past year, he showed excellent leadership working with Eric Schultz. So I nominate him for president.
I'd like to give it a second, Billy.
Thank you, Ed.
I appreciate the confidence from my fellow board members. Is there any further discussion on this nomination? Okay, are we all? I will accept that nomination and I will graciously serve. So if there's a motion and a second, do a roll call vote.
Yes,
Trustee
please,
William
Scott.
Parrish,
Yes,
trustee Ann Welker,
Yes.
trustee Ed J. Warner Jr.,
Yes, and I believe
Trustee-
it's a two-year position. Some time ago, we had some questions about this, but my understanding is that when we have the elections, it's for a two-year position. So I would gladly recommend Scott as the president. I think he's done an excellent job as trustee and secretary treasurer, so he has my vote of confidence.
I appreciate that. And I will accept the nomination and vote aye and graciously work with you all.
Even the
Like
Zoom
to
guy
also
says yes.
open up.
Wait, what, Charles?
Even the Zoom guy says yes.
Oh, thanks for the vote of
Thank you, Zoom
confidence,
guy.
Charles. Zoom. I would like to now open up the nominations for the Secretary Treasurer of the Board of Trustees.
I'd like to nominate trustee William Pell IV for the secretary treasurer position.
I will accept that, Ed. Thank you very much for nominating me.
I would second President, ex-President, ex-Secretary Treasurer, and longtime serving trustee Edward J. Warner's motion on the floor relative to that. Does anybody else have any further discussion on this, or should I move to a roll call vote?
I'd like to nominate trustee Ed Warner for the position of secretary treasurer. Ed has not only the generational knowledge of our waterways and beaches and the challenges that the trustees face as we move into the future, but he also has the experience as both former president and former secretary treasurer to the board during his 16-year tenure. He also has the temperament to work collaboratively with other agencies, organizations, and freeholders to accomplish the many projects that the trustees are taking on and are faced with. So I strongly recommend the nomination of Ed Warner for Secretary Treasurer.
I'd like to graciously decline. I've done it in the past, and like I've discussed with everybody on the board, right now, I think it would be a good time to have new people in these positions. And I think as we move forward over the year or so here, if anybody needs my help or expertise, I'm willing to step up, but just as a trustee. So thank you, Ann, but I would like to say no.
I'd like to add on, if I may. The one thing that I would say is that it's been unbelievable working side by side with Ed Warner. He and I have been involved in a lot of projects and a lot of issues. And Ed Warner is always going to be Ed Warner. He's got a wealth of knowledge and information on the Bay, on our township, on the Board of Trustees, with his father being a trustee for so long. Ed's been an inspiration. His family's been an inspiration. My first job as part-time Bay Constable working for the town, I worked closely with Ed's father, and Ed, I hope you'll always be there, by all of our sides to guide us with that wisdom and knowledge, regardless of what the topic or what's going on. And I understand you've put a lot of time into this, and I also concur that it's good to get this knowledge base spread throughout. And Bill has worked hard on a lot of projects throughout the last couple of years as well. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to working with all of you on being productive for the people that we serve and for the environment, regardless of what anybody's titles or responsibilities are. Teamwork is going to make our dream work, and I think we're going to be very productive. That being said, I'm going to move to the roll call vote of the Secretary Treasury nomination of William Pell IV. I'm going to go to Trustee William Parrish,
Yes.
Trustee Ann Welker.
Abstain.
Abstain. I'm going to go to Trustee Ed J. Warner Jr.
Yes.
and Trustee William Pell IV
Yes.
and Trustee Scott M. Horowitz. I'm going to vote yes. So that's what it will be. I will serve as president. Bill will be secretary treasurer, and we're all going to work as a team.
Just Scott, before you go on, I'd just like to congratulate the new leadership on the board and look forward to exemplary collaboration and communication in the coming year. And also, I'd like to welcome Bill Parrish to the board and looking forward to working together.
Thank you, Ann.
Okay, and as you all know, all my cell phones and office phones and house, they're on all the time, and I get right back to people with whatever it is that they need. So absolutely, I concur. A lot of collaboration. That's what we're going to need to get things done this year. On the subject of newly elected William Parrish, I think that it would make the most sense at this point in time on the discussion of trustee areas to put him into the area that Eric Schultz was covering. It's close to the area that I cover. I'll be there to help mentor Bill, as well as I know all of you will also help Bill. And then obviously we're all going to be working together on other special projects that require an all hands on deck mentality. Is there any discussion on that?
Scott, I believe Billy and Ann, weren't you both this year area originally?
Yes. And when I first got on, that was my area. Then it was Ann's area, and then Eric's.
It was my area because that was when Scott Stroud was leaving, and I took over two areas. So I think between the four sitting board members and the new board member that we have it well covered. So if there's any questions, don't hesitate to contact myself and the rest of the board. All right, Bill?
Good, Bill?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Bill, we're
Okay.
all pitching you.
Yeah, and Bill, what happens is that there's we have work sessions where the entire board goes through the nuts and bolts of each of the applications to make sure they're good projects and they conform to our Blue Book standards. And, we also have our environmental analyst, James Duryea, who will be back in at some point in the near future. And there'll be another resource to be available. But, I think if we all work as a team, I think it's a lot more productive. I think that what we're going to do is we'll all get out into some breakouts in terms of delegation of various different responsibilities and projects. And I think what's important is that everybody ran for office for a reason. They had some calling in their heart and in their mind of why they wanted to serve. And I think, what we could best do is find out, specifically what it is and make sure we suit the proper trustee into the proper role and responsibility. That way you really feel like you're doing the mission that you signed up for when you entered into this trustee position. It's a lot of work. It's a lot more than people actually see and understand. And I want everybody to have a good experience. I want them to feel good about it. And I want us to be very, very productive as a board because really that's what it's all about, taking care of the environment, taking care of the people that put us here. So that being said, I want to move on with the agenda because we got a heavy schedule of executive sessions. There's a lot of issues that we are going to be facing. There are 19 sets of minutes that require approval. Mr. Parrish, this is not for your voting on because you were not here, so I would suggest that you abstain from that. But is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion to accept those 19 weeks of minutes.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Right, was that
Oh.
a second, Scott? Were you
No, I
asking?
was asking for,
Oh, sorry,
I
second.
want to see who's paying
Second,
attention.
I looked them, pretty much all of them over, and any comments I sent to Jessica, they were pretty simple. So yes,
All right.
but my one
All in favor?
recommendation is trustee Parrish to, he's not voting on it, but he should definitely review them and look at them because it's going to basically be a seamless transition right into this year. So it's important. So I will second it to accept them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you to Lisa, Jessica, Linnea. I'm not sure who else worked on these, but Claire, Stephanie for moving through all of this because it really we got a backlog, but thank you for moving through.
We did, and I think that the public, you see the difficulties that occur pretty much in anything that you want to do these days. And I would say, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, great staff, great team. We have great collaboration we've had. And for adverse conditions, the board has been as productive as possible through a tough time. And I want to build on that and be even more productive.
Well, one thing you got to take into account when these minutes are adopted, they're put on the portal so that people can review them and they don't have to foil for quite so much material from our office. So it does cut down on staff time on the other end too, as far as the FOIL process in the office.
Right.
So yes, it's
it's excellent transparency.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, we have a discussion for permission requesting for a mallard banding tracking study. Trustee Warner, why don't you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, in the last couple of years, we've gotten involved with the Bay Constables, specifically Rich Franks, who oversees the duck hunting program, and doing some projects with the state as far as the Broadbill and Western Shinnecock in the springtime. The state is now asking to do some mallard banding in some of the ponds in Western Shinnecock, I believe Alcott's Pond and another pond. I think it's a really good study. It will show us the length of time these birds will live, their migration patterns, and it's good science for everybody, especially if you're an avid waterfowler. The ducks that you shoot, or at certain times of the year we need to take care of these ducks when there's a big freeze and we have to feed them. So it's good to know. It's good to know the population that we're maintaining and how it moves forward in time. So I'm really excited to have this program move forward.
I agree with
Yes,
Ed.
I agree.
All right,
All right.
I will contact Richie. I believe it's probably a letter of permission like we did the previous 2 years. So we can have either Jessica or Sean or myself work on drafting this letter and getting it over to the president for his signature.
I
Thank
think
you,
we
have
do
a
have a
res-
resolution on it.
Honor,
Yeah.
if the board's inclined, that's already done. Resolution 2022
Okay,
17 of today would authorize that letter, and Jessica is in possession of that letter. In addition, congratulations to the newly elected and re-elected board members and our new executive team. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, that being said, I want to call for public portion. Again, this is an organizational meeting. It's a little bit different than our normal meeting, but we are going to have a provision for public portion. Is there anybody there, Charles, that wants to speak?
We do have a person there, but you need to raise your hand if you want to speak.
You want to speak?
Well, I see no hands.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to move on to applications for permits because we do have a lot of executive session work that needs to be done today, and I would like to stay on target. Trustee Ann Welker.
Okay, trustee resolution 2022-11 is a second renewal for permit GP 000139 SGI Marinas LLC at 50 West Water Street in Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map 903-2-1-2.1, body of water, Sag Harbor Cove. This is a second renewal for work that's to be done at SGI Marinas. I'd like to approve this.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2022-12, second renewal for SGI Marinas LLC, permit number GP 000138 8 West Water Street, Village of Sag Harbor, Suffolk County Tax Map number 903-2-2-1, body of water, Sag Harbor Cove. This is for the same marina, other work that's done on the adjacent tax map. I'd like to recommend its approval.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, we have, again, trustee resolution. It's a 2021 holdover -176. This is the home rule message. I think we're going to table this one, but I think that we need to gear up perhaps for the next meeting for this actually to move forward. Trustee Pell and myself had some meetings with the state senator, supervisor, trustee, past trustee Schultz and I had some meetings as well at the state level. And I think it's time this year that the trustees get on more sound financial footing. It's going to require the passing of this resolution. I'm going to table it for today, but I think we're going to need to move on this within the next couple of meetings. Okay, so I'm going to motion to table it.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott, President Horowitz, what will be required in order to move this forward? What needs to happen?
Well, what basically needs to happen is that we need to collaborate on this, and I think unanimously send a message to our town board that we want the state assembly and the state senate to move forward with producing the bills so that the trustees can get, as we were supposed to get in the past, a listing similar to that of a fire district on the tax bill so that people can clearly see how much of the general fund revenue is put towards taking care of the natural resources, the environment, defense of public access, and all the activities that the trustees office engage in. Currently, there's a tremendous amount of money that is expended from the general fund. It's just not as transparent, and it's not written in stone. It's more of a handshake deal. And as you've seen in services and whatnot, there has been some erosion there. Where services were provided that are no longer being provided. And it goes back to prior agreements and prior issues dating back to the 90s and maybe earlier than that. And in the interest of having the trustees on sound financial ground and the public to have the maximum amount of transparency, it would be best handled, by the trustees being similar to a fire district or a library or anything else like that. We are the biggest land owners that there is in the town. And you would think that the oldest continuing elected board with such an important function should at least have the same degree of financial stability as a fire district, and the public should, be able to see that clearly. So, but what is required for it to move through is a home rule message from our town board, and requires us to pass a resolution first and move that over to the town board. Then they send it over to Senator Anthony Palumbo and Assemblyman Fred Thiel. We've had meetings with both of these legislators, and everybody's on board with, we need to finally, fix the problem and put this on sound footing. There's language that's being crafted up. There's research being done, but really the first start requirement from our town going to them is what's called the home rule message. They need that to get this thing moving.
Would it be prudent? Sorry. Would it be prudent prior to the resolution being passed or presented to the town board to have executive session between the trustees and the town board? Because
Yeah,
a couple things that we need to discuss with them, and given that there are new board members on both boards, it might be helpful to bring everybody up to speed or get everybody on the same page.
We could do that, which is why I'm tabling this for today and putting it off for at least the next meeting or two meetings, because I want to have a good communication. Trustee Pell and myself did have meetings with the supervisor on this. We have had this conversation. As I said, there were a lot of conversations had, but in the interest of what it is that you're speaking about is why it's not being put up for a resolution today, which is why it's being tabled to move on to a different date. This is something that has been worked on as long as I've been a trustee, and it's a bit of a complex issue, but it's a very important issue. And we've gotten close. We've had something actually approved in the state assembly that Assemblyman Thiel was able to get through because he recognizes the importance of this, and then they ran out of time in the state Senate. So we really need to work collaboratively, as you would say, as a team to lock this down for the future generations. It shouldn't be a backroom deal. It shouldn't be a handshake deal. It should be a clearly defined explanation of what services will be provided, what the level of funding there is from the general fund to the trustees to take care of this important function. It's going on right now. It should be as transparent as can be for the public, and it should be something that can't be tampered with politically or otherwise. It's that important. And I don't think it's beyond the scope of our ability to work as a team to get this done for our current citizens and for our future generations. And I say we should work as a team, and we should accomplish this, and people decades and decades down the road will benefit from it. You've seen it all yourself. You've seen the attempts to defund the trustees. You've seen the situations where services that were provided no longer provided. You've seen it all. But we have a very good town board. We have a lot of very smart people, and we can fix this problem, and we need to.
Scott, let me make it clear. I believe the current document that we're looking at has some changes from the one that was originally adopted and signed. So we're going to be presenting, our board's going to be presenting it to the town board with a couple new town council people in a different form than it originally was given to them, correct?
Well,
Yes.
this is there are changes. There absolutely are changes. And there will probably, and there may even be more changes, because that sausage is made over there in the state legislature. So yes, the answer is yes, but the reality is that we need to all get on board and be standing shoulder to shoulder in agreement that we need to fix the problem and lock it all down. And I think once we come to the understanding that that's what we need to do, we're going to work out those details. It's got to be approved at the legislature level and signed by the governor, obviously. And then there's a period of time where it has to be transitioned. And these things take time. but you have to start at step one. And we finally, I think, are at an area where we need to really have a serious conversation about sending that home rule message and moving in this direction in a collaborative basis. Okay, so we don't have to go into it long today because like I say, there are some details to work out. That's why I want to table it today, but this is not going to get tabled. I can't even count the number of times it was tabled. It's going to hit a point where very soon it has to go forward.
Yep.
Okay,
Good. Thank you, Scott.
Ed,
well, you're welcome.
Ed, in the next few weeks, we, Scott, myself have meetings with Jay and Fred Thiel.
Okay.
Talk about this. We'll keep you guys posted.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Billy.
and we will have, as Ann suggested, an executive session. There are other issues that I think that have to be resolved, and I think that the best way they are resolved with the full board executive session. So what I'm gonna endeavor to do is to set that up and list those topics on the agenda and try and hit some of those key topics to try and resolve some of the issues. That's why we got elected. That's what our job is. And we're gonna do the best we can at resolving those issues. All right. So that being said, did we did a lot of talking on this? Did we vote to table this thing?
I
don't know if we
second.
got a second. You seconded?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, so we're all in favor.
Yep.
Aye.
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 Okay, just to double make sure. All right, Trustee Pell, you have 2021-321.
And we're gonna table that again.
Well, you could table it. It needs to be modified and amended. So do you want to table it and then you want to work on it?
Yeah, we have to, I'm gonna want to sit down with Rich and Eddie Warner and Jessica to put a few more things in and take a few things out.
All right, so I'm going to second your motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
It's page 10 that we move ahead to. That's yours again, Bill.
Yeah, I don't have my laptop with me, so I'm trying to see it off.
Okay, so
Sorry.
this we can't even bring up because this has to be tabled. This was an
this has
adoption.
Yeah. That
So
goes-
John, do we have to table this one too, or just don't?
Yeah, this has to be either tabled or withdrawn at this point in time. These are.
Let's withdraw it.
All right, so I got a motion to withdraw from Trustee Pell.
Okay,
Second.
great.
Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so we're gonna withdraw that.
That's
I've got,
gonna change.
excuse me?
That will change when we do
Okay.
that, when we draft up the other one.
We
Yeah,
can work
let's
through whatever
do it
changes.
in a relaxed, appropriate manner instead of rushed.
Yeah.
Edward J. Warner, you have 2022-2?
Yes, it's trustee resolution requiring for any expenditure in excess of $1,000 that we need a resolution for. We've done this in the past. I think it's a good way to run the office, so I need a second on this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Got trustee resolution 2022-3. It's a designation of the banks of deposit, and we are designating Dime Community Bank, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and Bank United. And again, we work in collaboration with the town's comptroller office on these functions as well. So I'll put that on the table, looking for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I got trustee resolution 2022-4, use of digital signature font overlay for the president and the secretary treasurer. This is a standard operating procedure for the board. So I would make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, trustee resolution 2022-5, approval of third-party custodial banks. The recommendation of the town comptroller and the receiver of taxes, following banks are approved for use as third-party custodial banks for collateral pledged to secure the deposits of the receiver of taxes, M&T Investment Group, and Wilmington Trust Investment Advisors. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Got trustee resolution 2022-6, the designation of official newspapers. That will be the Southampton Press, Western and Eastern Edition would be designated as our official newspaper. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we would just strike the sponsor on the next two and put in.
Yeah,
your
that's why I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's just a Scrivener's error. We got trustee resolution 2022-7, designation of additional newspapers. The following newspapers are hereby designated as additional newspapers for the publication notices for the year 2022. The Independent Traveler, Watchman, Sag Harbor Express, the East Hampton Star, Newsday, and Riverhead News Review. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2022-8, recall and amend resolution 2021-350, authorizing the purchase of 2022 labels, whereas on December 15th, our resolution 2021-350 was adopted as law, and the Board of Trustees needs labels for 2022 4x4 boat ramps, dock slip, and Lake Agawam stickers, whereas the trustees have obtained a quote from Creative Safety Supply LLC, being the lowest responsible bidder, with a quote of $3,056.07. And whereas the Board of Trustees Resolution 2021-15 requires an authorizing resolution for any expenditure in excess of $1,000, therefore be it resolved that the trustees authorize the purchase of labels from Creative Safety Supply LLC in the amount of $3,056.07. And therefore, trustee resolution 2021-350 is amended as follows. Board of Trustee needs labels for 2022 4x4 boat ramp, dock slip, and Lake Agawam stickers. The trustees have obtained multiple quotes with Creative Safety Supply LLC being the lowest responsible bidder with a quote of $3,056.07. We're going to authorize the purchase of these labels from Creative Safety at $3,056.07. I need a second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Warner.
Trustee resolution 2022-9 authorizes expenditure for Chesterfield Associates, Inc. for sand reclamation at Far Pond. We've done this 2 previous years in this vicinity, basically scraping the beach and putting the sand that's washing into the wetlands or potentially wash into the wetlands back in front of Far Pond Road and a rock revetment at 72 Far Pond to reconstruct the beach. I need a second on this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a question on the motion, please. There had been a question about whether Chesterfield's was acceptable for this. This is not done under the county contract, correct?
Yes, it is done under the county contract. They
Okay.
have specific county contracts for specific types of machinery. They lost their excavator contract to H&L, but they still are in possession of the machinery that is necessary to do this project. So yes,
Right.
they're still in compliance with the Suffolk County bid protocol.
Right, so answer your question.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
And actually, I actually had H&L look at the location, and their quote was for $17,000. This is almost $10,000 cheaper than the quote for the other contractor. So the 2 projects. The second, well, first off, I recommend its approval, so I need a second on this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2022-10. This is the expenditure for Chesterfield Associates, Inc., sand reclamation at Middle Pond Inlet. We're looking to move the sand that the county has pumped up on the beach between Middle and Far Pond in a large stockpile and spread it out more evenly throughout the deposition area. This will basically allow the sand to be placed higher up in the beach and a lot less likelihood of it being washed prematurely into the channel where it was dredged out of. It was terribly shoaled last spring and last summer, and actually the summer before. So we're looking to move the sand and put it and reconstruct the beach between Middle and Far Pond. I met with Chesterfield, the contractor down there. We walked the whole area. So this is the price quote that they have given it to us for this part of the project. I think it's a good project, and hopefully we can get away with another year of not dredging Middle Pond in between these dredging projects that we have to do at the locations. So I need a second on it.
Second.
Oh, you all in favor?
Aye.
I think it's important to keep communication. That group's very active, obviously, down there.
Yes.
Relative to these projects. So I would say, let's make sure that there's good communication with the public. And let's get it done.
Yeah, I
All right.
will ask the Bay Constables to do a drone flyover because they did it prior to the project, after the dredging, and I want to, once we do the beach reconfiguration, I want them to do another flyover so that we can monitor it over the next couple of years to see how the sand stays at this point and whether it's a good project or not. So, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ed, for doing that.
Thanks, Eddie. We got trustee resolution 2022-13, authorized continuation of retaining the professional services of Joseph Lombardo for consulting at a proposed rate of $100 an hour on each matter he is assigned to. We're going to set this resolution not to exceed $15,000. Make the motion.
So
Second.
Second.
question on the motion.
Yep.
With all due respect, Mr. Lombardo, given that we have the services of Town Attorney Cambridge in addition to our new board member being an attorney, is this, what will this specifically be targeted to, these services? Because go ahead, sorry.
No, who are you addressing the point to, to Scott or to me?
Either of you?
Well, my view is,
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Scott, I'll clean up for you.
thank you. I mean, my view as the president is that, counsel for a trustee, and Bill, our fellow board member is a lawyer. He's an attorney, very bright guy. But the cases that have been ongoing and the knowledge of these colonial era patent law is kind of a specialized type of a field. And I think that that Joseph Lombardo has clearly shown and time again relative to cases that we have gotten involved in a very specialized basis, that his ability to advise the board and work with the board on various different issues when you're in an arena that many attorneys are not familiar with. It's been great to have Joe, and it's been great that he's set this up in two separate phases, one from a consulting basis for the board, and two for the when he's actually engaging in a trial situation and other functions where it's a different amount per hour, and you can talk about incremental time and whatnot. Everybody has a certain function here. I mean, we got Assistant Town Attorney Sean Cambridge. He does a great job at watching us and making sure that we're following the proper procedures and protocol on the board's handling of affairs. We end up in these conflicted situations at times. It's not a terrible thing, but it is what it is. And when you're a trustee of a trust, one of the first things that, in my view, you have to assure the beneficiaries of the trust, which in this case is the freeholders, is that you have loyal, non-conflicted counsel. And sometimes that's impossible to do when what we're trying to remedy is something that maybe the town's on the different side of. So it's a bit of a delicate defining line, and you need to have people that are on standby like Joseph Lombardo that could step in those situations so that we can assure the people that we represent that we are providing what I would see a very important function, and that is non-conflicted counsel in those situations when they do arise, and we all know they arise. Then we have special counsel that has been handling lawsuits that will be an executive session on very, very shortly, that have been going on for a long time. So, if you have this talent and you have these people that have this knowledge and drive and ability, and you have this duty and responsibility, I would say that you huddle everybody up and you make sure you have everything that's available. And, Bill, you could speak to this, and I think, Joe, you said you would clean that up. I mean, that that's my view, Ann. And for anything that the board does, we need to, have resolutions and do this the right way. If we do need to have Joe's services, whether it's as a consultant or as, in the trial situation. So I think it's an important resolution. I think it's an important person to have as for us to have as a go-to. And again, we're going to have to work through these situations and do the best that we can and make sure that we have given it our best when it comes to protecting things like public access in the environment and any assets of the trust that we hold for the people of this town. So Joe, if you want to clean up where
Yeah, no, just briefly, Ann, I'm there for situations like Cliff Drive, because conceivably, if Cliff Drive doesn't sort itself out, as it appears it will, you're going to be placing Sean Cambridge in an uncomfortable position, because one of the remedies you may have is to sue the town of Southampton. The town doesn't sign my paycheck. I'm independent, and any advice that I give is strictly for the benefit of the trustees. I hold no allegiance to the town in that respect. And I'm there just sort of like in case of emergency, break glass. I know that over the course of the year, I've had a number of phone calls from the trustees. I don't charge for phone calls, but sometimes that phone call is enough to cause a situation which could be in the process of festering into a bigger problem to be taken care of quietly and more easily. So the amount there is that's on the thing doesn't mean that's what I'm going to get, but it's there just to set a monetary limit. And I'll let Bill take over if he wishes.
I'd just like to comment also that I came into this office wearing a trustee hat. While I'm a lawyer, I've been a litigator for 29 years. I'm not here to step on toes, but I do know when to ask questions and I could look over things, but I'm a trustee now and I'm not acting as a town attorney, and I don't mean to step on Sean's toes at times. I'm sure there'll be times that I have questions, and I've met with Joe individually and spoke to him on issues, but I don't see myself acting as an attorney in the spot.
So that's your
Okay.
question, Ann?
Yep,
Are you
just
satisfied?
one more quick thing. So this amount is not to exceed 15,000 annually?
Well, that's, we don't know what we're going to get into. When you get into legal, we have no idea what the time is. It's just that if it's going to exceed that amount, it's going to require another resolution, another discussion for it to be
Yes.
passed. So we're putting
Discussion.
stop limits on here so that the board, it's not just running wild here. We're putting stop limits on here so the board functions in a business-like fashion. Everybody, again, collaborates on what's going on here. So we're engaging people that we believe will be helpful for our mission and responsibility, and we're also following protocols to put proper stop limits on things through resolution.
Okay, and there'll be itemization for these bills so that it's differentiated between the consulting services and the legal services.
Every bill is itemized. Litigation bills are separate from the consulting bills. The consulting bills are broken down by the amount of time and the assignment which was given. So,
Okay,
so
thank
that there
you.
is transparency.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we good? So do we have a second?
Second.
We had all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I got 2022-15. Do you folks have a 14?
No.
No. Okay, so 2022-15, Budget and Finance Authorization, the continuation of legal services by Joe Lombardo, Esquire, in Estrell versus West Village of West Hampton Dunes case. Again, it's $1,000 with the $15,000 limit. Further resolved, retains legal services at Joe for this case, $250 per hour for court appearances and a fee of $2,000 per day while conducting the trial, and $50 per hour for trial preparation. So there's a resolution further delineating what you were speaking about on the initial one. So I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There should be a 2214 authorizing your special counsel Lombardo for Brookhaven Bayman's case as well.
Okay, I don't see it here.
No, I went to the office and I got the printout, Scott. I don't have it either.
You don't have it either?
No,
All
No.
right.
maybe Sean can read it for us.
It may have been,
Um,
I apologize. It may have been when I was
I got it here,
fixing
actually.
them.
I got it here. I'm gonna do it. Okay, so 15 we did. I'm gonna backtrack to 2214. It was on the older version. 2214. Authorization, the continuation of legal services by Joseph Lombardo Esquire and the Brookhaven Bayman versus Town of Trustees. Authorized resolution for any expenditure in excess of $1,000. Board of Trustees hereby retains legal services Joe Lombardo, $200 per hour plus costs for any disbursement and or expenses. That's
That one
2214.
also should read not to exceed $15,000.
Okay, so then I will amend. I'd like to make a motion on the floor to amend 2022-14 to put a limit of $15,000. I'd like a second on mine.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I'd like to also make a motion on adopting the amended resolution to 2022-14. All in favor?
Aye.
May I clarify that on the Brookhaven Bayman, presently the case is on submission to the second department. The case has been going on since 2009. If we win, which it looks like we should, I don't think it's going to the Court of Appeals. That one's going to cost you guys basically something over the course of the year.
I appreciate that, Joe, but I still would like to have the proper resolutions in place. Okay.
I'm not
Somebody's
gonna-
got it.
We probably won't be spending money on it. That's all.
Okay, but we have a resolution covering the Board of Taxes. Somebody's got to mute. Lisa, you got to mute.
You got
Thank
to
you.
mute yourself.
Okay, so 2022-16 is Trustee Warner.
Authorizes payment of legal services for Joe Lombardo Esquire and the Rossi Family LLC versus Warner et al. Joe's been working on this case for a couple of years. We're trying to get a piece of property that, was taken for back taxes, but we actually own it. So he's been working on that to get that resolved. So I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. And you
Ed,
got
Ed, do you want
trustee
me?
resolution. Just gotta make one change.
Okay,
You just have to substitute my name in there for president.
okay. Trustee Resolution 22-17 to authorize the president to sign a letter of authorization for New York State DEC Alcott Pond Mallard banding. I'm just going to read it into the record quickly. Whereas New York State DEC has requested permission for access to Alcott's Pond, Southampton, New York for eastern mallard banding and GPS tracking study, including a staff visit to the site before January 31st to verify the presence of the target species, and the period of February 1st through March 15th, 2022 for the actual trapping, banding, and release of the animals. Whereas Board of Trustees of the freeholders and commonality of the town of Southampton, hereafter the Board of Trustees are the owners of underwater land located at Alcott's Pond, Southampton, New York. Whereas the Board of Trustees consent to and support the proposed environmental project and wish to grant authorization effective upon signature of the board president to expire April 30th, 2022. Whereas the Board of Trustees reserves the right to revoke such authorization by written notice, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorize the president to sign a letter of permission for New York State DEC and any agents thereof acting within the scope of their employment to access the property for the purpose of the planned eastern mallard banding and GPS tracking study. Scott, I don't see what you were referring to.
It's going to be on.
think
by
Sean and I
order
were looking
of.
at the bottom.
We need President Horowitz's name inserted there.
Oh, okay. I must be looking at the other one. So I'd like to recall and amend to insert President Horowitz's name for the president.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then With
That's
that
right.
amended resolution, I would also like a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've got 2022-19.
Is there an 18, Scott?
Is there an 18?
There is an 18, it's for Con and Con.
All right, so hold on a second.
It's on the old agenda.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I had to fix them and they must have fallen off. I do
No worries.
apologize.
No
Those
worries.
pesky, okay, so 18, trustee resolution 2022-18, authorize continuation of legal services by Con and Con in Stroud, West Hampton Dunes. It's a similar authorizing resolution, $1,000, also not to exceed the $15,000 as listed on the resolution. I will make that motion.
I'll
Second.
second it, Scott.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Now we go to 2022-19. Authorization continuation of legal services by Sokoloff Stern LLP and the Havemeyer versus Town of Southampton. Again, it's an expenditure of $1,000 with a limit on this resolution of $15,000. I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So I believe that concludes the official resolutions. But we do have a very active executive session, several executive meetings over various issues that I would like to go into, if that's okay with the board.
Yes.
It is. Okay, so then I would
Yep.
like to make a resolution to wish everyone a happy new year here for 2022 and adjourn this meeting and go into executive session for the purposes of confidential legal advice and litigation.
Scott,
Yes.
Scott, Stephen Stern
Yes.
is waiting for you all.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna
On the
get
Zoom.
out of here and we're gonna go over there.
Okay, I'll let him know.
And
Let
please
him know.
All right,
contact
guys.
Jim Burke.
Yeah, I told him, I asked him, I
We'll be right
invited him.
there. We'll be right there. So I made a
Also-
motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
See you in
you.
exec.
Thank you, everyone, all the board members and the staff.